You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy.
Hey, I'm going to update the title for the story about Honeycut.
Yeah. Three, two. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, David Hall.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, Brad Wren.
Hey, everybody.
Justin Pearson.
What up, my homies?
Welcome, and Greg Hectus.
What's up, guys?
On today's show, we will find out how the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers handle the Iowa Speedway. Give you an update on the Season 3 patches that were released this week. Preview the 6 hours of Glen endurance race. Give you some more help on dialing in your graphics settings for iRacing. And find out which company has entered into the sim racing marketplace.
That's right, Mike. And then remember, you can follow along with us on your PC or your mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all of the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com. Select the show notes. We hope to see you there.
Right on into the topics we go. We have a YouTube video featuring the cars that are the new rain cars for Season 3.
Yeah, I like this format of video, a YouTube short, because I watch pretty much exclusively on my phone these days, this type of content. So, like the format, and it's a good reminder that it looks like almost every IMSA car now is supported in rain.
Yeah.
We watched this and it looks real.
Yeah.
I mean, that looks more real than when it's in the dry.
Yeah, I agree. So the two new IMSA cars got rain, and then the entire GT4 class got it as well. And the Porsche Cup car got it. We touched on some of this last week, but again, just like Mike says, it's pretty neat to see it in a short. Just a good reminder.
I did a little practice earlier in the GTP for the Glen in the rain, because I got into an IMSA race and it went wet and I was not ready and didn't make it through 2 laps, even though I qualified no problem once we started racing. But it seems a little bit easier, though I haven't really gotten in a heavy wet yet. It was only about 33% wet when I was practicing. And the biggest place you have to be careful is the bus stop, at least in the GTP. You can't hit the curbs like you can when it's dry.
Pain is bad.
It's more that it just bounces you. It bounces you up, and when the wheel comes back down, you go into a skid.
Well, part of that, I think you're dealing with a car that is really dependent on downforce. So when you're moving even slower, there's less traction in the rut.
Well, when you hit those curbs in the wet, it like throws the traction control or ABS all goofy. And then that's when I lose it.
Next up, eNASCAR Series goes to Iowa and goes to overtime. Mike?
We have Steven Wilson getting it done again. It was basically green a lot, and they were saving fuel, saving tires really to try to make the tires work, through till the end. But there was a late, restart, and like a green white checker situation, and so. But Steven Wilson had the track position, had a great restart, was able to keep it over Graham Bolin and Parker White. Graham having a great run this season, and Parker White still up front and getting lots of top fives.
What did you think about the move Steven Wilson put on for that lead?
It's something, it's clean. I would say it's clean.
Yeah, I mean, In that situation, yeah. If it was only like 10 laps into the race, yeah, that's a different story.
I didn't get to watch it. We were practicing for NIS when this race is on. With a 1 hour earlier start, that kind of it's harder for me to watch the race. Yeah.
Hang on. Did you just say you were practicing?
Well, you guys were running a open.
Ah,
I
yeah.
came in the middle of it and ghosted it. Yeah.
All right, that's enough information.
Inside somewhere.
All right. Well, let's talk standings. First, let's talk about segment 3. That's got let's see, round 1. Oh, so we're in segment 3 now. I guess segment 2 is over. So whoever we announced as the leader for that last time took segment 2. So Stephen Wilson takes the lead in segment 1 with 50 points. And your top 5 was Parker White, Graham Boland, Wyatt Tinsley, and Zach Novak. Then overall, after 10 rounds, you have Stephen Wilson at the top, also with 3 wins. In second place is Parker White. Vicente Salas is in third place with 1 win. Nick Ottinger just barely behind in fourth place. Bobby Zielinski, 255, fifth place, 1 win. And then there are 4 other drivers not in the top 10, but in the top 20, each with 1 win. Garrett Lowe, Dylan Duvall, Wyatt Tinsley, and Malik Ray.
Any surprises that Wilson is the only repeat winner this year?
No, he's definitely getting it done. Parker White, he's second in points. He's the highest guy in points without a win. Like I said, he's kind of red hot right now too. So, I see him getting a win here shortly too.
All right, we got more sim to real stuff. Honeycutt is capitalizing on real world opportunities, Brad.
Yeah, so we had a article, I think, by Justin Milo with iRacing, kind of just recapping what a lot of the eNASCAR guys are doing this year, not just Honeycutt. So, good article to read. Talking about Honeycutt, also with Vicente Salas, Garrett Lowe with opportunities. Matt Busa with a chance. Real Fowler. So
Malik Ray.
Yep. I mean, just lots of guys that have been able to, to convert, their sim career into an actual ride. So Honeycutt, look, doing a fantastic job, not running a full season in the trucks, but I tell you what, if you look at just the starts he's had, if you were to kind of extrapolate that out over, I mean, he is just phenomenal finishes. I mean, top 10 almost every single time he gets a start. He's done a wonderful job in that niche truck. So again, I just think it backs up. I mean, look, Honeycutt's a short tracker. I mean, he's been a real racer for quite a while, but some of these guys that again are able to transfer the sim side to the real side. We talked, I think last week or week before last, with the video from DJ EJ. About Raja Caruth and guys, we've talked about, William Byron. These guys have been able to go from the sim to reality. So again, good article. I would suggest you to read it. Just lots of good information.
It just really tells you how many different people have gotten an opportunity by being that were involved in the Coke series. So there is some correlation there. And so if you're an up and coming and looking to run road to pro and that kind of thing, this is something to look forward to if you're one of those outstanding drivers.
Well, we all understand, especially in the world of NASCAR, the testing is limited. So the entire industry is really depending on sim a lot more. So I just think it opens up lots of opportunities for guys.
Well,
and gals.
it just helps its own product, seeing the transition being so clean. It gives people hope. So it gives, when you give them hope, you create more fans, that.
All right, so I got home Monday from some summer training workshops and went to go look for A Open to get some practice for Iowa. And there were no sessions, no IMSA, no A Open. And so that's what this next article is. We got a tweet here from iRacing support. The data processing for the end of season 2 is taking longer than expected. They have to run a process that facilitates the members' promotions, and for the switch over to season 3. And they basically said it's taking longer than we thought. We'll be up when we can. And I guess it was up later because you ran an FAA or FIA later, Mike.
Yeah, it was about an hour and a half late, from what I can gather, that the season 3 started, which is unusual. Looking back in my memory banks, I can't remember the last time that a season launched late.
I guess it's just a sign of the times that they've got that many promotions that had to go out. They're gonna have to
Now we've
probably
seen builds.
upgrade and get ahead of this a little.
Yeah, we've seen like software updates be late, but the season switchover from a week 13. Yeah, I'm not sure what's all involved with that, but obviously it hiccuped, and it took them an hour and a half to fix it.
So, I would think that would use week 13 to facilitate most of that, but I guess are they still waiting for? I guess you're still waiting for results from an SR standpoint during week 13.
Could be, or that you have to switch out of week 13 into the next week.
I'm,
Every week on Monday is when this happens.
yeah,
But this one is a full schedule switch.
I'm just thinking more promotion wise. You only get, in theory, you only get promoted at the end of the season.
There's license promotions as well as division splitting.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
All right, well, let's roll on to the next thing. Where did Traction GG go, Justin?
Yeah, well, David, I haven't seen this video yet, so maybe you can help me out on it.
Maybe
I
Brad.
saw it.
Maybe Brad. Go take it, Mike.
All right, so Traxion GG is a sim racing publication, online publication. They talk sim racing news and sports and stuff. And they've been around for, I don't know, 2-3 years. We quoted them on this show a lot, up until last November, when Motorsports Games, who's the owner of Traction GG, laid everybody off. They fired a lot of them. Well, didn't fire them, laid them off. Whatever the word is. And so Traction GG was gone for the last several months. And so now basically, they've grouped up, some of the old team and added some other new people, and they're basically reviving the website traction.gg and start doing more of the same. And so I'm encouraged. It's kind of neat to see these guys come back around, and hopefully they put out some good content.
Yeah, I know one of the guys had ended up over at, what is it, Overtake GG during the meantime. He had posted a video. It's like a week or so, kind of, shorter than this, just trying to explain what happened. But yeah, was basically, like you said, Mike, Traxxon GG was a part of Motorsports Games. And when they sort of laid everybody off, they were part of the cuts as well.
I forget the new ownership, something red something team. It was the name of it, but they have a new ownership that's running this thing. So we'll see how it works out.
Next up, we have a Mercedes shark hunt. I forget what they call this this happens in majors a lot. They had 3 Mercedes, different versions of the AMG from GT3. I was the other one a GT4, I guess.
Yes.
And Formula One, and they let the slower car go first, and then had the Formula One wheel try to hunt them down. It was called Predator. That was what this kind of racing is.
Well, they time it though, David, where they all hit the finish line at the exact same moment, three wide. So the amount of time they wait before releasing the next car is key.
Yeah, it's
And you
pretty.
have to be perfectly precise on your lap time as well, because if you miss it by a second, that doesn't happen unless they also just waited.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. So if you watch the video, it's split up into a triple screen. So you've got the GT4 takes off, and you can see him go, and then wait. GT3 takes off, wait. And then the Formula One takes off. But if you're watching the GT3 car, you can see him start to pick up the GT4. He's seeing him, and then they're 2 or 3 turns ahead, and then here comes the Formula One car, and they get pretty close when they hit the line. I wouldn't say it's a dead heat. It was pretty neat just to realize how long the Formula One car sat there before taking off, and then to end up catching both of them was pretty neat.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't 3 wide. The GT4 kind of won, but that they were getting close. Actually, nope, the GT3 won. I just saw the.
I think what I like about it is it gives novice people like me and Justin, wow, that's the difference between a GT3 and a GT4.
Yeah, you take GT4, let it take off, I don't know what it was, probably 10, 15 seconds, something like that. And then just the GT3 will run it down. And then it's even more amazing. I mean, I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, okay, GT3's gone. When's the F1 going to go? When's it going to go? Come on, you got to go. And then all of a sudden it takes off. And it's like, it's going to catch it. That's crazy.
Now, what's slower, the GT4 or GT3?
4.
4,
less horsepower, less
which is
downforce.
counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one released was a GT4, and that was the slowest one.
My limit's the GT3s. I'm going to stick to them.
GT4s are fun. The Mercedes GT4 is a very good car to drive. Really enjoyable.
I do not like the GT3s. I miss the GTEs. They just drove differently.
Not a ton of difference, but a little bit. All right, so we had season 3 patch. So Monday they announced last week we're going to have the first patch for the season 3, and that went up, and then everything came back up online, and I think we ended up with a hot fix almost immediately afterwards. So kind of recapping some of the updates on the first patch. Simulation wise, continue to work on the weather system, working on windshield condensation was improved. Again, continue to work on the raindrop texture, some issues with race control, some drivetrain issues in engines. Again, we're continuing to work on these zippy events where we've seen that cars just go from, I guess, running normal to some sort of super accelerated amount of velocity or whatever it is. Some updates to time trials, graphics issues, quite a few updates to cars. We had a big release with the truck series where they worked on the damage model from the side skirts. So I guess now is no longer repairable, which is kind of interesting. So updates on street stocks, kind of the normal kind of updates. The one thing that again just kind of floors me is we've released tracks during the update, but we didn't have a flagger. Is that what Barney or Fred wasn't there? It just seems to happen almost every update.
You get that they got to get the track out, but they haven't finished like these last few things. It seems like, right? Pull an all-nighter. A couple of things you kind of glossed over. I want to point out something about the spotter. They updated the pronouns, and I'm thinking, oh my god, we've gone woke.
I don't. I don't. Not sure I've really ever heard him say pro. I mean, I can't think of a time. I don't know. I just don't listen to it that much, other than Clear or Inside or what.
I can't think of an example of the spotter using a particular pronoun, but yeah, I guess they need to be pronoun safe. And then there's the awards. It says fix an issue where the Robler awards were getting out of sync, and then the award, the profiler, has been retired. And I'm trying to think, what the heck is that? The profiler.
Is that where you? So back on the legacy member site, you could actually put information in your profile. I bet you that's what it
Oh,
was.
you filled it out, you get the
Yep.
profiler award.
Yep.
So we don't have a profile anymore. So I guess that means they retired the award. Darn it.
Then the hot fix just fixed a couple of things with the ARX 06 GTP, the Acura.
Yeah, I think they fixed. The attempt was to fix the front spring, and it still broke after it.
Well, one of them was the wing was just displaying the wrong angle, and there was another one that was causing the front spring was causing it to fail inspection.
Yeah.
All right, it's not a blue Christmas, but why is it so blue, Brad?
Yeah, so we got a post on X from Jordan Worth. It says, "I have a blue cone that appears and disappears every lap inside my cockpit. I legitimately love this." So I watched this, and I just can't figure out is it an actual cone? It just doesn't. I don't know.
It's too big.
It's too big for a cone.
It's like maybe a 50-foot cone is on top of his car.
Or it's sitting. Well, is it actually taking up the whole cockpit, or is it actually sitting on?
Well, you can
is it
see
just
it
so
going
close to his
across
head?
his triples.
Yeah, it just made it. It may just be that close to his head.
So he's got it like he's wearing it like a hat.
It's literally like floating right in front of his face. Sometimes when you hit those collidables, like the old Le Mans before they put the tires in, you could run through those obstacles that were detachable, and they could get stuck in your car. And it was weird because they acted like a gyroscope and would rotate when you turned. They always kept facing the same direction, no matter which way you were going. They were always facing the same cardinal direction.
But back then they didn't do any damage, and we've talked before that the cones actually will do damage now.
They slowed you down. It did cause it did cause drag on the car.
So looking at the replies to that tweet, NASCAR Mario says, "I got this same bug in last Thursday's Michael's streams. It randomly showed up accompanied by a weird sound. It went around for 20 laps before completely crashing the game." And then Hangman Chatham said, "I posted about this issue back in March," and he put up a link to the forums.
Yeah, Christopher Darling says it's been there for about 5 months now. I don't know. I never hit the blue cone. I don't. I mean, I just
Yeah, stay away.
People will do it under caution because they're bored. But you might say, Mike, that he was hoping that the cone would get gone.
Yeah. We have a post in the forums from Gary Dubia about where are the driver stats. And well, they are in the UI because remember the traditional website is gone, but they're not quite what we hoped. And some of these comments in this forum detail that out.
yeah. I mean, we've talked about this before. The one thing that was very nice about the legacy member site was you could really drill down and search. Your stats. You could break it down a little bit easier. And I don't know. I mean, I hope that they'll continue to add to the UI. Because look, I mean, most racers we're geeks when it comes to this stuff. We want to know what our percentages are, and we want to know how we compare to other people and all that. So it's better. I still think they've got quite a bit of work to do to get everything in there. I hope they haven't lost it all. That's my only fear.
Hopefully the data is still there. I just have to present it to us. But yeah, Gary said, uh, where's the number of top 25 finishes? Like that was a stat you could pull. And then Jose was saying that he usually gets a CSV of a series, so he makes a table with me and my friends who participate in that series. Now the CSV is only available in driver leaderboards, not series leaderboards. So like they've totally messed up Jose and his friends, running in Excel.
Well, you can download it to a CSV, but that's not quite as nice as an Excel spreadsheet.
Oh, I'm sure he's got it formatted up nice and stuff. But I guess my point is, look, if you're in iRacing and you say we're going to get rid of this website, we're going to port the stats over to the UI. Wouldn't you think they just try to replicate what's there? Like every little thing, like Jose's, oh, you can, export to CSV on series. Well, let's add that into the UI. But no, they didn't do that. They put it on drivers for some reason, but instead of series. And so all they have to do is just mirror image it. It's not hard.
Yeah, but I don't know if you've got the ability to do that through the UI versus traditional web-based HTML.
Not as flexible, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a web guy, but I don't know.
All right, this next one comes with a little bit of an update, but it's time for the season 3 graphics contests. There's a whole bunch of them. We can go through a few of them for the GT for the GT Sprint series. You can. This one actually is not just running the paint. The driver with the most overall season championship points in the Sprint series is going to win the SimuCube active pedal, throttle, and base plate.
Whoa.
Yeah, so they took over the sponsorship of that this for season 3. It was VRS before, now it's SimuCube. Also, you get entered in to win an active pedal just by running the logo as well.
That's contest 2. In fact, just have to run it and run at least 10 official races. And then you get put in a drawing. Got to be from US, Canada, European Union, or the UK. And then I don't know if we want to read them all.
No,
but,
I don't think so. But it goes on and on and on.
Yeah, it goes on. But this, we didn't know. I don't know how they know this, but at the bottom, note, you must disable trading paints for any of the logo contests.
I don't.
I don't agree with that.
Where does that come from? So you're automatically disqualified by running a third-party software that has nothing to do with the sim? All the third-party software. Let's break down what Trading Paints does. It's a very simple file fetcher. It fetches a file, it dumps it in a folder in Windows. That's it. There's nothing else to it. It's not interfaced to the sim in any way, shape, or form. All it does is dump a file in a folder.
And here's the question: does that mean you have to turn your trading paints off, and so you can't see anybody else's paints?
So,
or does it mean you just have to not have a paint installed on trading paints for that car?
So what am I don't see that. Is that an announcement in the thread somewhere? Because I don't see
It's
that.
at the very bottom. After the last contest.
In bold.
I'm sorry. I was looking for it as a comment. So, yeah, I mean, this has been an ongoing thing. This whoever Angela is, she's said it more than once. But again, I understand that companies want to see their logos, and that's what they're paying for, and they're doing this. But
my question is, does it mean turn trading paints off, or just not have a paint installed for your car?
It says you must disable trading paints for any of the logo contests.
So how does Angela know I turned Trading Paints off?
Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's a third party.
She doesn't.
Software.
That's my point. There's no interface between these two pieces of software. So I'll call Angela out. I'll just call her out. She's fought back on this. Other iRacers have posted to her saying, "Are you sure?" And she's standing strong on it. But I know how stuff works, and this is not correct. They don't have a way of knowing if I'm running Trading Paints or not. That's kind of funny. Because how many people out there are racing without trading paints?
All
There's
the
not very
newbies.
many.
All the newbies. Yeah.
Newbies, right?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, you see guys in generic paints in the NIS too. So I don't. There's always going to be some.
Well, you'll probably see some of those generic paints when you run the 6 hour of the Glen that's going on this weekend. Because I always notice there's a lot of people who just run the default paint when they show up for this event. Have you noticed that, Brad?
Yeah, I mean, especially with the two new GT3s, I imagine we're going to see a ton of Pratt Miller Corvettes, whether it's the solid yellow or it's the Mobile One 50th anniversary, and then I'm sure there'll be a lot of the Ford Mustangs, the default paints against for them as well. So, but no, looking forward to it. So, hope you got your teams ready. Justin and I are teaming up, going to attack it in the Corvette. I'm not sure, David. You got a group together?
We're gonna do a 4-man team and just because we've got a couple of the guys who don't have a lot of experience, even though they're faster than me in time, they haven't done a lot of endurance racing. So they were kind of happier with just teaming up with the two of us. So we're gonna go 4 and just have each driver do 2 stints because they're shorter stints in a prototype. So that's the plan. Yeah, we're actually going to run that last extra time slot that starts Saturday night, 8 Central.
Yeah, Justin and I are going to do the 8 a.m. Eastern start. So, again, it's I mean, you look at the weather for this, it looks like we're going to have about 3 hours of dry, 3 hours of wet. I'm still not completely satisfied with the way that they're doing the weather. If it's supposed to be unpredictable to some degree, why are we being told that we know we're going to get weather basically 3 hours into the event, a week out?
3 hours
There-
into the event, or just that
Uh,
it's going to be 3 and 3.
Well, I mean, if you look at the timeline, it looks at about 3 hours in is when the chance for the rain is supposed to increase. So, again, there's been a lot of discussion on the forums about this. It's just I don't know. It's the whole talk
Okay.
with Tempest was it was going to be real time and all that, and it seems to be completely canned to some degree.
I don't know about that because they're trying to make it. They need to make it consistent so that each group runs the same weather experience. Okay, somewhat, even though it is a little bit random. Also, it's only the percent that's going up and down. What actually happens is still generated. And when you come into a race weekend, you usually know when it might rain or might not a day or two ahead easily.
So I think part of it is why do we know it's going to rain already? That's Look, you shouldn't know anything until you get in the car right before the race. I
Okay.
think
So do
there
we need
should
to
be
go?
no hint of what the weather will be.
That means that we need to go tell all the NASCAR teams that they have to fire all of their meteorologists who know what the weather's going to do a week in advance.
I understand where David's coming from. There's got to be some kind of uniformity to all the splits and all the time slots to make it kind of fair.
You don't go to any race not knowing what the weather's going to do tomorrow.
Well, I guess that's true. But yeah, there is a lot of noise in the forums about people thinking it's raining more than it should be in these special events because we
Yeah,
had the Sebring rain, rain for sure. The very first event with rain, and now here we are, just 2 or 3 events later, and we have rain again, and some people feel like it's too much.
Well, the last enduro event, the Le Mans, though it was majors, didn't. But when you get a new toy, do you just stick it on the shelf and never touch it?
yeah, but this is what we talked about. It's like anything else. Sometimes I think it's just overdone. I don't know. I mean, I
Are
don't know.
they
I mean,
doing? Sorry, Brad. Are they doing it to like maybe work on it more, like get all the bugs fixed and all that, gives them a chance to kind of beta test it with all the people running around in the rain?
They're doing it because rain is a part of road racing.
yes, but not every endurance race has rain. I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting back to. Not. I don't know. I mean, you look at the forecast. We start at 11 o'clock. By 3 o'clock, it's 100% chance of rain. So I don't know. It's just again
Well, look, Brad,
my whole fear of
be
this. My whole fear of this was that whether it's IMSA or anything else, we're just going to turn. We got 12 weeks in the season, and we're going to turn 8 of them into rain or whatever it is. It's just I don't know. It's frustrating.
well, look, we had, like I said, 2 events so far that have had it, but maybe we need to go 6 months with no rain, or whatever, some long period of time to make it feel like it's more realistic. But you're right. If we have rain now and then, we have another special event, 3 months from now and it rains again, it's going to be like, wow, that's too much.
And again,
Because
it's supposed to be based off of real data, and I don't know. I'm gonna shut up.
I think there's a timing where they could make us miss rain, miss it, want it to come back.
Well, if it really is dynamic, they're not picking and choosing when it comes,
Look at the forecast. They are. That's what I'm saying.
But maybe that, 3 hour in it's going to rain thing is the initial roll of the dice or whatever that the system does. Is it going to rain or not? That did say, hey, we're going to rain at 3 p.m. And so maybe it is dynamically decided, but I don't know.
Bobby did like to chimed in on this a little bit earlier, pointing out that in Sebring it rains almost every day in the summer.
Yeah, good point.
And rain, particularly in the Northeast, does happen
But
a lot.
Sebring doesn't take place in the summer. Sebring takes place in March.
Well, it's 2 events. It'll be okay.
Well, we'll see if how you guys do in the rain.
Since you're so hot right now, Brian, why don't you talk about the Hot Lap Challenge?
I don't want to. All right. So we had a Hot Lap Challenge for season 3. So each week we're going to have a different card, different track. So starting with week 1, we've got the Ligier at what is that? Osterben Grand Prix. So again, fun series. The social media Hot Lap Challenge Time Attack. So you're going to have different car each week, all road cars, of course. So sports cars, Formula cars. So I'm not a hot lapper, so have fun.
I see on the last week 12, they have the Australian supercars. Yeah, a little typo there. But yeah, if you have the fastest time of the time attack for the week, and you save your replay, you will have your lap featured on all iRacing socials and receive iRacing credit.
So looking at the forecast for Watkins Glen on Sunday, it's 8% chance of rain. I'll be quiet now.
Ooh.
8% chance on the whole day?
Yes.
Okay.
Now on the hot lap thing, if you're the leader of the time attack, you have to do this. You have to save your replay at the end of the week, email it to highlights@iracing.com in order to get featured. I like stuff like this that is not just regular racing. That is something to do. I talked about this last week. Go after the awards and the certificates. This is another thing you can do is this time attack stuff. We have the Ferrari e-challenge is ongoing in time attack, and now you got this one. So yeah, there's always stuff to do in time attack. So if you're bored, you can't find a race to get in, I mean, check it out.
All right, so if you like the really big tracks where it probably does rain some too, we have the Rickmatek Rainmeister, and this is the schedule for season 3, and this is a poster of it. It's the track stays the same. It's going to go from the street stocks to the GT3 class to the Renault R6, TCR, GT4, Super Formula Lights. It's all in there. The only thing that I don't see is any of the other. I think the street stock is the only what you would consider an oval class car on there.
You're got Rallycross. Wow.
Wait a second. We talking about Draftmaster or Ringmeister?
No, he skipped a week.
Ringmeister.
He skipped a story, Brad. So we'll have to back up one.
Whoops.
I'm trying to picture the street stocks.
I hydroplaned.
Too much rain. See.
Yeah, so I'm talking the Ringmeister, and yet the only stock one there. So that's coming up, and we also have the Draftmeister schedule. Tell us about that one, Brad.
So Draftmaster returns again for 2024 season 3. Again, same format as I think season 2. I run Daytona for 4 weeks, then hit Talladega, and then back to Daytona again. You got a mix of vehicles each week. Starting with week 1's the Legacy COTs. Then you got the Truck Series, Classics 87s, and then the Next Gens. So again, same thing. 4-week rotation, same order of cars, just going to go through different tracks. So something I stay away from because I hate speedway racing, and I cherish my IR and my SR.
So the tracks are a little different than last season. I think they used iRacing Super Speedway before. So that's gone. Replaced it with old Daytona is what they start out with, then Talladega, and then new Daytona. And so, yeah, I like the lineup. I really didn't like the iRacing Super Speedway as part of this, so I'm glad to see that's gone.
It just doesn't race like the other plate tracks, does it?
I'll take sorry, I was going to take the next one, the FIA F4 Regional Tours. We finally got an official word from Greg in the forums that we have moved to fixed setups officially. And so I've already run a few of these races this week. And so get involved, guys. This is a fun series.
All right, there are some changes for the Global Endurance Series, I guess. So that's the Constant Tour.
Yeah, this is the Le Mans coming, 24-hour Le Mans.
How'd they manage that?
Same way they did last year. They just in the middle of June they announced that the series switches from a 6-hour schedule to a 24-hour schedule, and they quietly make the announcement. You see Le Mans is listed there in the schedule, and this is it. This is the most advertising you're going to get for a 24-hour Le Mans in iRacing. Is this discussion on this podcast and this forum post that basically says that they've made a decision to move it to 24 hours, and that the week 9 of season 3 will be that week.
Some of those others might be fun to run too. The Daytona is back up there again. We could take another shot at that. Road America, I'm pretty familiar with. And might even enjoy Circuit of the Americas. I don't have Jose Carlos or Algarve yet.
Now, when I saw this and I was kind of looking at this, they do it every other week. Week 1, week 3, week 5, and so on. But still, a 24-hour race every 2 weeks? I mean, how many teams are actually competing in this, the whole thing?
It's not as many as you see in the big special events, but there are a few splits for each of them.
So do we? It's August. Is Le Mans? Do we try to get something together? I mean, it gives you an opportunity to take another shot at these.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it. Yeah, that's what I would think. Is a lot of people would run the Le Mans one and not do the other ones. But that's the reason this is here. This is what they've done since Motorsports Games got the Le Mans licenses. This is how they've handled it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see Daytona, I can see Le Mans. I could not do 24 hours at Coda. Absolutely not. That's like hell.
It's not too bad in a sports car.
Maybe so. Maybe so. I don't know. Road America be interesting with no lights anywhere.
Oh, I didn't think about that. No lights. Podcast housekeeping. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find us. Mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We do appreciate it. Check out our Discord and get involved in the discussion. I actually found a picture on Facebook Memories today where I posted up my very first rig, which was a glass desk with a G27, and I had two monitors in front of me, and I was racing on the monitor off to the side for some reason, but it was crazy.
When I first had iRacing 10 years ago, I had two monitors and I ran it kind of across both monitors where the A post was right in the middle, right in the bezel. So just the driver's side window was in the other monitor, just to get a little bit wider view.
All right, so we can go back even further. NASCAR 1 on a 15-inch CRT monitor sitting at the kitchen. It had the computer desk was in the kitchen with I think it was a Fats Cats wheel. It was rubber band. That was your force feedback. That's how bad it was.
Okay, we had an Atari 2600 and had the little paddle steer to play pole position.
Yeah, so get involved in the Discord and check it out. And our website, iRacersLounge.com, where you can see our show notes, literally. We are on Performance Motorsports Network. And don't forget, we have merchandise, iRacersLounge.shop.
All right, who had the best day at Sonoma, Brad?
That would be 21F. Took the win, followed by or tied with Team Duan. Third was Res Dog. Fourth, tied for fourth was Muzz Dog, Stu 24. So none of the guys got in the top 10, but
Seemed like this week was for the dogs.
yeah, that's what it looks like. New pavement at Sonoma. Interesting race. Probably I would probably say one of the most entertaining next gen road course races that we've had.
Yeah. Unless you picked Denny Hamlin
Yeah,
or
well,
Martin Truex,
yeah, well,
which I did.
yeah, well, it's hard to go against Martin. I mean, I think he's won 2 out of 3 last races there. So, no, I mean, it's interesting. I'm curious to see when maybe we get a rescan. I'm assuming we will with them working towards the console game for 25. That's one thing I was thinking about is any changes that are happening here, probably within this season or early next season. I would anticipate us being able to, we'll benefit from that. But speeds were, about 3 to 4 seconds quicker a lap. Typical tires were pretty hard, a little bit of fall off, but not a lot. But the guys just making aggressive moves. Like I said, it was a good race. A lot of cautions, a little too many, I think, in the first stage, but definitely made for an interesting day to watch Kyle Larson come back out and drive back up through. I guess he restarted, came out of the pits in eighth and drove all the way back up to first. So
I want to see SVG out there, though. Him in the Xfinity race, they had some kind of timing and scoring thing after the race where how many cars passed you, and his number was 0. Like he
That's
did
right.
not get passed.
Yep, not a single pass was made on him the entire day. Absolutely astounding.
And then the way he kind of stuck it to Austin Hill and got some payback for the Coda thing, and the long burnout. Austin's giving him the finger. That was just classic.
That made my day. That was so entertaining.
The burnout was cool, but I saw the replay of that, And Austin came down on him. That was not at all.
Absolutely.
That was not at all
Absolutely.
on SVG. All SVG did was he literally ran him off the track, and nothing SVG could do but hit him at
Yep.
that point.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm about done with Austin Hill. Been done with him for about the last season, but I'm done with him.
Now, watching that race reminded me of when I first ran across SVG was in a Sonoma race in NIS, probably in 2019, 2020, and maybe even 2021. He was in there for 3 years or so. I didn't see him really on the ovals much, but he showed up for Sonoma, and we happen to have about the same I rating, and so he would go in there and lap the field. Yeah, like up to second.
Yeah, I never knew anything about him until I see him at the Chicago race. I watched him win that.
Well, I told you guys when he won that race last year, and once I got back on the service, I was like, man, I'm pretty sure I raced with that guy. And so I started looking back, and yeah, I can remember racing with him. I think in Michigan, all the way back in 2015.
Yeah, so he's been around iRacing, and when I've raced against him, and I remember getting beat so bad, like when you get beat like that, you remember it, you know. So we raced thousands of races, but when you get beaten by a guy who laps the whole field, you remember his name.
Well, I think they said it on one of the NASCAR podcasts, maybe the Harvick one, but he's just so happy to be there. Like he's just so happy, and that's what I like about him.
I was watching, I don't know what I was watching. It was a video, either it was Twitter or sorry, X, or I don't know whatever it was, but it was Cam Walters he ran the 60 car for RFK, and they were talking to him. He was talking while he was, running iRacing at Sonoma, and I'm watching his lap times, and he's like in the 114s, and I'm like, dude, that's just crazy. I mean, these guys that, here's a guy who's never seen the track. He's come from Australia and then just jumps in iRacing, and he's, I'm happy to hit the 16s, and this guy's he's talking and chit chatting, and he's running 114s, and I'm like, holy crap.
Alien, yeah. These guys got alien speed. That's what we call it. All right, what about Iowa? I mean, who you guys like here? I mean, we got short track. I mean, who was good at Richmond? I mean, Iowa, as I raced it this week, it really feels like Richmond.
Yeah, so this was designed by Rusty Wallace, if I remember correctly, way back in the day, and he basically wanted about a 1 mile Richmond. So, this gonna be interesting. They've repaved, made partial repaves in the corners, so you got a couple lanes, like not even a full lane in one side of the track. I was telling the guys last night, I think the plan was to repave the entire track, but with the weather and timing, they were not going to be able to get it done. So I would anticipate a full repave before they come back next year. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Iowa is a multi-groove track traditionally, so you would think you'd be able to move around, but again, it's new asphalt. We know what's going to happen.
It was
They're gonna,
technically more climate than weather. They simply just knew it was going to be too cold for too long
yeah,
on a normal basis with when it was in this calendar, and so they knew they couldn't get it done.
yeah. So, it's new asphalt. They're going to be ripping wherever the asphalt's at. I don't anticipate anybody outside of that. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be a one groove track. I don't know. Look, we've seen from even in NIS and NA Open, it is a track position race. Dave, you ran into it last night. I mean, it's about track position. It's very difficult to pass. And if we get into a one groove lane track, it's gonna be the same way.
It's not hard to get past though if you burn off your tires on the last
That's
run.
right. All right. So to close out fantasy, overall, we've got Canadian still in the lead with 3178, 3,178, followed by Iris and Mason, Cletus 545, Stu 24, rounding out top five, Shane 7272, and a shout out to Tyler Fatboy 1990, holding at the 10th position.
All right, let's open up hardware, starting off with a new way to represent your favorite brands in sports. These are magnets, actually, from all the brands that you can think of, coming out of a Instagram page called Sim Sport Gadget.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. I've ordered a few things from them. I found them on Etsy, you know, earlier in the year. So, pretty neat things. I mean, again, it's just another way to customize your rig. You know, we're all pretty just like anybody else. We get we get loyal to brands, and we like to rep them. We like to show them. So, pretty neat things.
Yeah, they're like $10. Here's a SimiCube logo decor. They have a Sim Magic Moza Racing. These look cool, because they got the right font and everything, and um, I think that would look really sharp on the back of my rig, actually.
Notice there's no Fanatic.
I
Well,
wonder why.
Pretty prophetic, I might say.
I mean, do you really want to rep Fanatic?
All right. So,
Sorry, David. I was
go
going to
ahead.
say, perhaps when Corsair saves the company, but we really haven't heard anything since we heard Corsair was going to purchase it. It's like the whole thing went silent, radio silent.
I think they're going to favor more of the console side, though.
At the end of
Right.
the day, I think that's probably where you make more money.
All right. So the next item is a video reviewing the Moza R5. If you look at the thumbnail, it says Moza R5 is the best, but not for everyone. So what does that mean, Justin?
Yeah, again, I haven't seen this video, but yeah, DJ EJ has a video comparing, I think, three bundles and kind of seeing what one's the best.
Yeah, I watched this one. Basically, when he says that about the title, David, if you're just getting in and you're casual and you're doing some console racing and stuff, this might be a good package. But if you're a guy who's all in, this is not the right option for you. um, but as far as the bundle, it is the best budget bundle pedals that are out there. If you look at the bundles that come with pedal, wheel, and bass, it is 100 pricier than the cheapest DD option, and 200 pricier than the cheapest non-DD option. Uh, but and the Moza R5 wheel and base is 450, while you can get the Camus C5 for only 300.
But I think he did prefer the Moza over the Camus just for you get a little. I think you have a little bit better ecosystem um, with Moza versus Camus. So look, when I watch this, I mean, DJ's pretty brutal and honest up front. He's going to review what people send him for free. I don't blame him. I mean, he's got a great thing going there. But he was pretty happy. And again, I think this is a great wheel for for an introduction, getting into it. I think John Curley runs the R5, if I remember correctly. Again, look, if you're just getting into sim racing for the first time, I mean, look, a wheel and a base for 450, you can't go wrong. I mean, why go spend thousands of dollars if it's not something you're sure that you're gonna continue to do?
Like we were just talking about my first rig with the G27. I think, and back then that was the entry level package to get. But today in 2024, this is probably the entry level package to get.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, look, it, with a lot of these. I mean, we'll get into. Moses got another one that's console compatible. So, I mean, again, I think we get. I don't want to say we're snobs, but when it comes to iRacing, I think we're PC gamer snobs. But there is an entire another uh, segment of the marketplace out there it's console based, and that's what people are looking for as well.
my advice would be is to try to get into it as deep as possible and see if you enjoy it. And if you're still running it and still interested in 6 months, then start investing in it. I go with the strategy. I only want to buy it once. So, do your research, pick something good and go with it.
All right, next, Mike. I think I just heard you say we haven't heard anything from Corsair, but what's this?
Well, this is interesting on a couple different fronts, but Corsair has launched or announced on YouTube a new cockpit that they've put together and put out there. It's a tubular style cockpit, kind of like the Alpine racing one that Track Racer does. It's along those lines. It has that same look. Um, I don't know. Maybe it looks a little beefier. Kind of looks like a bobsled is the look I get from it. But it looks very sturdy. It looks adjustable, easy to put together. Um, is what they talked about. Has its own seat and everything. Adjustable pedal tray. Um, Now, with them buying Fanatec just recently, wouldn't it make sense that they release the cockpit under the Fanatec name? I mean, this is released
Unless
as Corsair selling it, not under Fanatec.
unless they go ahead and rebrand all the Fanatec gear to Corsair.
I don't know. You rebrand it though. I mean, really. I mean, let's think about it. Fanatec has a branding that's already out there and it's established. If you
So
can,
does Corsair.
I know, but again, if you can, who do you trust for sim racing equipment? Do you trust Corsair, who has no reputation in it, or do you trust Fanatec that has
A
as
bad reputation.
Yeah.
stop, but as yes, somewhat tarnished, but then you can spin it as Corsair comes in and has saved the brand. Um, I saw another post from them where they've got monitors as well that they're going to release. So again, Corsair is going to. I mean, I think it's like anybody else. I mean, I think if they're going to dive into it, they'll dive in. They're going to do the entire package, monitors and everything. So, go ahead, Dave.
They can do like Twitter and just rebrand it F.
Again, I can see both sides to it, but again, when you've got, I mean, think about you've got look, SRO is the Fanatec GT series. It's a worldwide, so you've got a lot of brand recognition that's out there. And yes, to some degree, is it tarnished, but maybe not completely.
Yeah, there's not. It's if you think about how many people know about Fanatec's problems, it's a small circle in the relative general scheme of things, probably.
My question is, I don't know why these tubular cockpits are getting so popular. I'd rather have an 80/20.
Cost, it's a lot cheaper to do the tubular. It's I just think that's what it is. They look good. I don't disagree. I think they look fantastic. Just not for me.
I think the real problem is we just have too many surfers in sim racing.
Just 80/20 you can do. Oh my. 80/20 you can just do anything to. It has no limitations when you want to put something or add something on it. Whereas that tubular, there's not many options, I wouldn't think.
Well, and
Good
again,
point.
yeah, I mean, we talked before. I mean, that's where once you get into this genre for quite a while, you start to realize that stuff. I mean, look, I had before I got back into it last year. When I sold all my stuff in 16, I had an Abuto, and yeah, it sucked because you just couldn't do much with it. So when I got back into it, I knew what I wanted, and I was like, yep, 80/20 is what I want because I want to be able to have all the flexibility to add, take away, do whatever I want to do. So again, that's the stuff that you learn. And like you said, Justin, when you get into this for the first time, you don't need to go out and spend thousands of dollars. Figure out if you even want to do this, and then you start to go through an upgrade. For those of us that have been around for a long time, I mean, like Mike talks about, he started with an office chair. I mean, that's what we did. I started sitting in I was in a kitchen chair sitting in front of a desk, and then it was a dedicated desk, and it was, it was pedals that were pushed up with a block of wood so they didn't move against the wall. I mean, it was just this progression over years and years to get to the point where you're at. And, you can spend a lot of money. Again, I'm like you. I only want to buy one time, but I know what I want because I've been doing this long enough. But for those that are just getting into it, I hate to see people spend thousands of dollars of money and then like, well, I don't want to do this. I mean, you see that all the time. Look at Facebook Marketplace or any of these other ones. Guys selling complete rigs that they bought and they just didn't want to do it.
So the other advantage on the 80/20 stuff, look, when I put my SimLab P1X together and decided to do triple integrated monitors that were attached, I was thinking this is my forever rig. Like Justin said, I'm buying this one. But look at me today. I just ditched that whole thing. I just totally ripped off the integrated monitor mounts, redesigned my rig, and now I have standalone giant triples. And it was an easy conversion because of the 80/20, because it's fully customizable. And so I like the flexibility. When I first built my rig, I had no intention of doing what I have now, but here I am.
All right. Well, something some of the hardcore drivers might want, or if you're a real racer, you might use these as well. And I'd be surprised if we haven't covered these before, but I guess it's always good to throw something like this back up here. MPI has gloves available.
They are nice. I like them.
Way too expensive for sim racing.
I was looking for the price. Oh, $189. Holy cow.
Yes. So, like I said, way too expensive for sim racing.
So these are actual racing gloves for actual racers to
Yes.
protect their hands from fire.
Yes. Yeah, they're they're designed for a race car. So
But Justin, they match your wheel. They're orange and black, and you look at them on your hands as you put them on your wheel. It's going to look so good.
Not worth it.
amen, brother.
But I gotta say, to a guy that just got a pair of gloves, I used to kind of think it was a little too much. I recommend them. I do.
I'm telling you, I've been a glove wearer for years. I was, back in 16 when I went to an oval wheel that was Alcantara, and I didn't want to tear it up. My GT3 wheel is not Alcantara, and I wear gloves. I cannot imagine racing without gloves now. My hands don't get sweaty ever. Doesn't matter how long I race. There's no sweaty. There's no nothing. It's no different than shoes. I was a sock racer for years. But once I went to shoes, I'll never go back to not wearing, a pair of karting shoes or racing shoes or something.
However, given Invicta's price point,
All right, Mike, tell us about the Asetek Invicta 27 Newtometer. Is it better than SimuCube?
Boy, that's a tough question that Sim Racing Den decides to try to answer. Sim Racing Den normally races with the SimiCube 2 Pro, like I have. He has used the Ultimate, and now the big boy over at Asetek called the Invicta, which is 27 Newton meters. The SimiCube 2 Pro is 25 Newton meters, so they're very similar. And I believe the SimiCube Ultimate is 35 Newton meters. And so there's three of them there to compare, but the Ultimate is way overpriced. And so this Asetek one is priced right in there near the Pro, and so it's a toss up. You want to, you have to look at the ecosystems. You got to look at how it looks. I mean, they're totally different looks. I mean, the Asetek has the LED strips, which I'm kind of keen on, um, but then the SimiCube has this real industrial look to it too, which is a neat look as well. So I don't know if if sim racing didn't really answers the question or not, but he does talk about a lot of the differences.
I do like the quick release on the Ace a lot more than I think I would like the SimuCube.
The SemiCube is slow. I mean, so you have to pull this pin out, and it's not easy to get out. You have to yank on it with your hand like 2 or 3 times before it actually goes out. And then when you put it in, you're hitting it with the base of your palm 2 or 3 times just to push it in. And then when you do take it out, you have to spin the wheel upside down, hit it with your hand a few times like a hammer before it kind of knocks loose. And that's how I manage the SemiCube quick release. But there's no play. There's no play. There's no play.
Well, I can tell you with the Sim Magic, it's a traditional NRG quick release, and guess what? It takes me about a half a second to pop it off and pop it on, and guess what? There's no play either. That's what I do like about the Sim Magic is the NRG style quick release.
I'm glad I'm not the only one because I've been doing that since day one, and I thought it was because I messed it up because I've forgotten to put that pin in before, and that turns out to be a racket.
That's the one thing I hated about the old Fanatec quick release on what was it, the CSW, the belt driven wheel. That was what I had when I got out of sim racing was, yeah, you had that bolt, you had to get the Allen key out and you had to back that thing out. And it was like, this is not quick at all.
Yeah, that would stink. I don't have to do that with either of my rims, even with the Fanatec gear.
I could remember that thing getting loose before. I can remember running a race and having that bolt back itself out.
Look, the SemiCube is not fast, but it's functional as far as in the race not having play. And so and that was the reason I left Fanatec was the play in the wheel. And it failing in different reasons, but the main reason was the play in the quick release, and in what they call their QR1, and it was just horrible. So I was just happy as could be with the SemiCube one, but after seeing the Ace one and hearing about the Moza one, the NRG release, yeah, it may be time for SemiCube to do something different.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just don't. I don't know. I guess you want to stay proprietary, but a traditional NRG to me it makes the most sense. It's not from a sim side, but I mean it's what's used in real race cars. You can use a traditional NRG quick release. I don't know. Dave, you had me throw this one in the script, so talk to me about the next level flight simulator.
Yeah, I figured I should take this one, being the flyboy. It's too bad we don't have our motion guy around right now either. But this is basically a motion rig that can do full barrel rolls all the way around infinitely. It's like a direct drive motion rig. This guy's
Crazy.
doing barrel rolls, and I definitely at least want to try this at some point. If I win the lottery, that's maybe my purchase, but I'd have to get a place to put it too because it's probably noisy.
From
Now,
a flight sim side, I can see it. I just can't see how this would relate to racing at all.
Well, it might be kind of fun if you're kind of leaning at Bristol and you have it going up and down, or anytime you're driving into the banking or in road course, it can help, but you would definitely lose a lot of the other accesses if you didn't have the DOF also.
what gets me on this equipment is the guy's doing barrel rolls only one direction. And he's not going back the other direction when the wire runs out. Like, how does the wiring work? Like, because he can continuously do barrel rolls to the left and nonstop. And so you got, okay, like how does this, how is the connections are made and stuff like that? How do they get power to the monitor, for example?
I mean, isn't it the same way the direct drives work? There's not wires. It's actually pins that are connected that just spin around and is inside the servo.
Something pretty crazy. Yeah. It's pretty cool how it works.
All right, we got more Moza talk.
This one's the R3. Now, the one we talked about before was the R5. This is the R3, and And the title on this one is "Don't Buy the Moza R3 Until You Know." It may not be for you. And I think it's really about just the strength of it, 3 Newton meters. Is that enough for a direct drive?
Well, again, this is one that's geared towards the consoles as well. You could even see in the design of it is the X for the Xbox. Um, you know, 3 Newton meters, no, not a whole lot. Um, I think the bigger issue with this was the amount of flex in the wheel that he showed. I mean, literally pulling on the wheel was, I mean, you could see the wheel just bending. It's look, it's low end. I don't, yeah, not for me.
And the round wheel that comes with this package looks very much like the Moza round wheel that they offer with their better bases, but it's not the same. This one is a much cheaper version.
Yeah, smaller as well. Again, that was just it was concerning to see the amount of flex that the wheel itself had. Had comes with a set of pedals that I think were actually upgradable by buying some additional springs and stuff, but just a traditional house sensor or a potentiometer. Nothing load cell at all, so nothing but positional as far as your brake. Um, Again, if you're going to be a race, I don't know, Forza on Xbox, you know, every few weeks or whatever it is, that's probably for you.
Or maybe
Um,
for kids, littler kids.
yeah, yeah. I mean, again, just not for me.
Yeah, I think they did say that in the video. Kids is a good target for this. Like you have a youngster, you're introducing to sim racing, maybe have a mini cockpit kind of setup. This would be perfect for a kid.
All right, this next item
Also,
is pretty interesting. Or you got something else, or are we going on?
no, I was going to say this one is also for a kid.
Or a big kid? One of the two. I could just see myself in this one. It's a Segway go kart Pro 2, about 1600, but it can also double as a go kart sim with haptic feedback.
That's interesting. $1,600 at Costco.
Runs about 27 miles an hour.
So they can race the go kart for real, and then in the evening or whatever, you can hook it up to a TV and race iRacing.
I guess you better have the rest of your rig in the garage. I don't think the wifey would like you driving it across the carpet in the living room.
Is there
Yeah.
a need for this sim racing portion of the go kart? I mean, why put it in there? I don't get it.
There's so I mean, I think there is a kart sim that's being developed, and there's been a lot of them through the years of some sort of development for kart sims, and we've even talked, in iRacing. I think there was some early development in a kart sim. Just I don't know. From a physics standpoint, I don't know how you can. I can't imagine trying to be sitting in my 80/20 rig to simulate a kart sim. I think you definitely
Everything
need to.
sits in a different place.
Correct. Yeah, it's not even close. And I think, look, as kids coming up through the ranks, I mean, karting is huge as far as number of people that are karting, whether it's shifter carts on asphalt or if it's dirt carts. I mean, Adam on the team is a carter, so I think there's a market for it. I think I'd like to see some sort of a good viable sim for the karting community.
But with that price, couldn't you buy a competitive, actually real racing cart?
Yes. Yeah, you buy an old chassis and you could turn it into something.
Boy, looking at this, the 7-year-old me is as jealous as can be. Like when I was a kid, my dad had me a go kart, as we called it back then, and it was just a metal frame with 4 small tires and an engine on it. But I remember there was no brake system. When I would push the brake, it came to a lever of a little paddle that came against the back wheel, and it just pushed down against the rubber of the wheel, and that was the brake. And so I remember one time when he first gave it to me, he put me in that thing and he yanked the chain until it fired up, and I took off around the driveway, and I came back towards the house, and there's nowhere to go. It's like a dead end into the garage. And I hit that brake, and that brake didn't work, and I actually crashed it into my parents' garage.
Yep, been there, done that. The old yard cart.
All right. So last week we talked about some graphic settings, part 1, and now we have part 2. Which of you guys have dove through this one?
I did. I actually tried this, and I tried the video from last week. So the video from last week, I decided to actually try because I'm having a frame problem with my new monitors, and it didn't help. It actually made the frames worse. The video from last week. So
Really?
now I find it did, and so now I
Wow.
find this one. Well, I think it was because I had already turned everything off, and what they were doing in that video was have, oh well, this one doesn't, take too much, so let's turn this one on. And so I just did everything they said, and it was actually worse. So then I found this video this week where he goes into particular graphic settings in the sim and kind of dives through, check this, uncheck this, kind of thing. And I went through and did what he did, and it also brought my frames lower than expected. And so neither one of these things actually helped me.
So what it
complete-
really means is you don't quite meet the minimum requirements, and he's just setting it up, I guess, if you actually meet the minimum requirements.
Yeah, I mean, like I've gone through both of Brandon's videos, and I mean, I'm running at a solid 144 right now, and that's capped. So, um, I mean, there were things that I had set that it made it look good, but at the end of the day, it was eating up, 30 to 40 frames per second, and at the end of the day, didn't look any different. That's just what I thought I needed to run. So, um, yeah. So, Mike, I know you're pushing some big monitors, man. You're pushing some heavy stuff. And at some point, I think you're just going to have to go ahead and eat the bullet and upgrade.
Yeah, it's on the agenda. I'm just trying to postpone it, really.
So I can vouch for excuse me, the second video. I got an AMD system, and he recommended turning sharpening on. I always had it off. I thought, man, that's too hard for the system push. I'd rather have the frame, and it actually gained me like 25 frames.
That was what was interesting in this video is he was saying, like you would think, conventional wisdom, this sounds like it would make the frames go less, but he would explain actually it does just the opposite if you turn it on.
Yeah, and that's what I liked about both these videos is he basically benchmarked every setting and went through it. And the one thing that look, you can go through the graphics options and you can hover your mouse over there and it gives you some sort of idea. I don't know what that means. I mean, at the end of the day, I really don't. I mean, I would click stuff and put stuff on. I'm like, yeah, it looks good. And I'm like, oh, that's crap. I just lost 20 frames per second, but I need it to look good, so I'll leave it on. And I just suffered with it. Um, but at the end of the day, watching both of Brandon's videos, I was a lot happier with where I'm at now.
I still don't think you need more than 90 anyway. That's all you get on the VR, and it never feels choppy.
Well, I mean, my monitors they're 144 hertz, so I try to keep it, as close to that as possible. So I got it capped at. And for the most part, it's up in the 140s. On a restart, it'll drop down to the 120s or so, which isn't bad. But I'll give up a little bit. I'd prefer to have as high as frames as I can, just from a smoothness aspect and any sort of stuttering I try to avoid.
I thought about just buying the 4080 Super and just dumping it into the computer I have and just hoping that'll be nice. But I also, part of me wants to just, I probably need to get a new power supply. I probably should get a new processor and rebuild the whole dang thing.
If you're going to do it, Mike, if you're going to spend the money on the graphics card, I think you just need to go ahead and spend the money and upgrade your CPU. your PCP, your power supply and all that stuff. If you're going to do it right. You're not going to move away from those monitors anytime soon. So, just I would wait, spend the money, be happy, and then you're good for quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got a trip planned to see my daughter in Colorado in July. So once I get past that, then I'm gonna be doing just that. Start, saving for a build and start making the list again.
Next, we have some Instagram audio of Scott Pruitt explaining why it's important to get motion correct in sim racing. Scott's an IndyCar driver, isn't he?
IndyCar, sports car, Trans Am, NASCAR
He's in
guy.
Cup.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was in Cup for quite a while. So this is a neat video. Yeah, he kind of talks about it, getting into. I think he built his first sim. I think back in like 2012 or something. But really, in a quick snippet, talks about how important motion is from a driver aspect. If it's wrong, he knows. I mean, he knows it the way it's supposed to feel when you hit a bumper, when you lean to the lurch to the right or the left. So I thought this was kind of interesting just from the aspect of, look, if you're going to do it, it's one thing to do motion, but you got to do it right.
Yeah, and I forget exactly, but I think he talked about this having left, right, or lateral motion as well as front, back, and then he didn't want anything additional than that. That was enough. But
Awesome.
obviously, he's working with SimCraft on this. SimCraft has some pretty cool motion rigs. If you remember back to the eNASCAR Invitational or the NASCAR Invitational, the Cup guys did. Uh, Kyle Busch has SimCraft. Denny Hamlin had the SimCraft.
I don't know. Nice to see Scott Pruitt around. And pretty neat, in the sim experience, in the sim side as well. So just I can't even think the last time I thought of Scott Pruitt doing anything. It's been years since I've seen him race anything.
All right, we have a post from David Tucker having to do with keeping up with all of the haptics. What is this one about, Justin?
Yeah, it's David Tucker having a post, and he's going through all the hardware that he supports. I'm just catching up as we speak.
So this comes from a longer post in regard to Sim Magic. The haptic pedals going mad after the update, and then with the solution found. But what was interesting is, I mean, again, from a haptic standpoint, the only thing I thought about really was the Sim Magic stuff. But I mean, look, David Tucker is the guy that handles all of the force feedback, all of the output from the API in regards to force feedback to haptics to all that stuff. And look, I kind of feel bad for the guy because he gets beat up sometimes. But I mean, there's a ton of stuff that he's trying to support. I didn't never would have thought about Xbox controllers, the Fanatec pedals, the rims, again, Sim Magic with the haptics, con spits as well. So there's quite a bit of stuff that he's working through. And the one thing I do like about David, and David, I mean, David's been there forever too. He's pretty active on the forums, and he will respond to questions and to try to give some feedback. But we talked about haptics quite a bit, and it's something that I think just continues to add to the immersion. I mean, haptics started when it came to just having it on four posts and working from a butt kicker standpoint to fronts and to backs, and now we've got them on pedals. And I mean, there's so much stuff I think information wise that we can get out of it. Teammate John Curley finally just got his put on his pedals, and I think he's working to try to dial them in. Um, and it is nice to see that you've got Tucker that's willing to spend the time to try to help.
Now, that list that you listed is actually what is already currently supported fully.
Yes.
Um, And he points out, particularly with the Sim Magic pedals, that it has frequency and intensity control as well. But I have one important question that he didn't answer, and that's, does he think haptics are cheating?
He's supporting them, so I would say no.
Remember, it's nothing but force feedback, just for a different portion of your rig, right?
Yeah, it was just a callback.
I know.
Yeah, so when starts working on this and develops something more out of it, I think these vibrating pedal motors or whatever you want to call them are going to be even more important. But right now, they are what they are. But until he goes and ties them into other things to do with the tires or the brakes or whatever, um, I don't think I'm going to get them. But once he, makes something better out of them, I think they're going to be a must-have.
All right, we're tight on time, but there's only 3 left, so let's just go ahead and knock them out. Next up, we have another iRacing's graphics and FPS boost guide. Have you had a look at this one, Mike?
I did. So this was a little bit different take on it. So I did like what he did here was he took the first half of the video was looking at the NVIDIA control panel. So this is going to be NVIDIA based. And I have not had a chance to try some of the stuff, but I'm definitely going to do it because, I can remember back in the day, you know, I can remember making lots of changes to the NVIDIA control panel because a lot of the stuff just wasn't supported in the sim. Um, so he details you going through that, what you need, what you don't need, and some changes to make. And then kind of similar to what the other video is, goes through and gives explanations of all of the different settings in iRacing. Not quite as detailed as what Brandon did in his, the ones that we looked at this week and the prior week. But looking at the NVIDIA control panel, I think this is a good one to look at to try to help you at least get a better understanding of what you should have on and what you shouldn't have on.
I did change all of those in the control panel as well to try to match up what these videos show.
And if you happen to use VR, the forums has a whole optimization guide for VR as well that I've gone through myself. Next up, we have a quick rig review, and it is now sim racing has made its way to Home Depot.
Yeah,
What? We're mainstream.
I threw this in there because this popped up in a Reddit feed. Yeah, so I guess Home Depot, you can pick up your rig, and they've actually got a couple different things. Some of the ones where it's just the wheel and the pedal stand, to where you sit in front of a chair. Look, I don't know. I would not buy a rig from Home Depot. I just thought it was interesting that is it becoming more mainstream? I guess maybe it is. I don't know.
This one could almost be a travel kit. I mean, it's that lightweight and that small.
Well,
It's kind of the PlayStation wheel stand kind of look.
Will that fit in the Nissan Rogue, David?
I guess with the seats down, I think it'd be too tall. I don't think the ceiling is high enough.
But look, if you're brand new, to sim racing, you get that R3 or R5 package with a wheelbase and pedals. You get this rig from Home Depot. You're in sim racing for under $1,000.
Yeah, I mean the rig's $400. So, again, you tell the wife you're going to Home Depot to pick up some stuff, and oh, look what I found. All right, Mike, this has been your pet peeve, so we'll let you take the last one.
Well, I thought it was just me, but I've had some problems with trading paints. It actually started when I switched my monitors, which I don't understand how that's related, but never had a problem recently with trading paints until I switched monitors. But sure enough, my car is black, and I actually deleted the paint folder in my documents. I uninstalled trading paints and reinstalled trading paints. And it actually worked for like a day or two, and then it started going black again. Now, talking to friends, I'm not the only one. I mean, it seems like Tyler has this problem, and it also affects like our teammates. Like when I was in the race, Justin's paint was black. Like I could see David's, but I can't see Justin. I can't see mine, but I can see everybody else's. And so we were trying to, guess is it caused because Justin and I are on a team together in iRacing? Is it somehow related to that? I mean, we couldn't put it together. Is it because we're friends on iRacing? But we can't figure out what it is. But I did find a forum post where other people are having similar issues.
So the bottom post on here, I think, is what it is. So when the guys looked at what your TGA is, it's 32-bit. iRacing has to be 24-bit. I have a feeling that when Bobby is exporting the TGAs for you guys, they're at 32-bit. I know he's done your car and he's done Tyler's car. And I noticed that.
He's not Justin's car.
Yep, but I noticed he posted something early in the season, and I went to open up the TGA and I couldn't open it up. I got a feeling that that may be the cause of this because it's just to a few of you guys. I can see Justin's, and I can see yours. I don't know why, but I'm just wondering. Maybe we need to get Bobby involved and see how when he saves them, see if he can save it as a 24-bit versus a 32-bit. Because iRacing will not take a 32-bit TGA.
Mine are saved. Mine are all saved as 24. I never save them
Yeah.
as 32.
Same here.
Now he says if there's an alpha channel layer, you need to export 32-bit.
Yeah, but
The alpha that I don't know about that because the
alpha
that gets
goes out
converted
as
anyway.
into a spec map. Yeah, so yeah. We need to talk to Bobby, and I think it may be an exporting issue at Bobby.
All right, let's jump to results. NIS Friday Open, Kyle Pendergraph, T3. Loving the car, the setup, and the track. The car was fast and was easily a second place car and had a good chance at being the best car. Took it easy but found the best line, even now shifting points, and had my lap times around 1.5 seconds faster a lap than Wednesday night. Started P3, was car 4, and brought it home P3. Seems to be a good strategy played out by the winner. He was mid-pack, and as soon as the pit window opened, he pitted and just picked off cars for the rest of the race. He wasn't the fastest car, but he sure played his cards right. Tony Rochette, just a P7 in bottom split. Woo! 38 points. And crickets for Sonoma the rest of the week from our team. So we move on to Wednesday Open at Iowa. I was wrecked by lap 3 by some guy who lost talent and wrecked 3 out of 5 of us. There were 5 teammates in the team from our team in the split, and 3 of us got involved. I had 13 minutes damage. I parked it.
He caused a caution.
T4.
He caused a caution 2 laps or about within 2 to 10 laps later as well, and then just dropped
Same
out.
guy.
Yeah, same guy.
Yep, got called out and then just bailed.
Yeah. So P4, the question is the streak over? Maybe. I got this one on strategy. We were with about 50 laps to go when a caution came out on 30 lap old tires, but they weren't really 30 laps old. They were really only about 10 laps old because it was caution fest, caution. What do we have? 18 cautions, I think, in the race.
Yes.
So I stayed out. Brad Pitts, and you end up being like a lot of people stayed out because I went from 12th to like 4th or 3rd, I think.
No, we
you're all the way
were
back in the
running.
20s.
Yeah, I mean, we were running up. I was right there behind you. So yeah, I think like 4 of you guys stayed out. I mean,
we were in the 10. We were in the teens.
Yeah,
I don't think we were in the top 10 quite yet.
That was disaster.
But yeah, it stuck y'all way in the back. And I was just like, I'm not pitting again. I said it. I said, like, that's it. The way this is going, I'm not pitting again. And I was able to hold it off and only got passed by fresh tires by 2 guys. And one of them, it was really fresh tires, and he was the number 1 car. And he almost won. And I think he would have won if we'd have had a 6 or 7 lap run at the end. But we only had a 2 lap run. And the leader was able to get enough of a good restart that the 1 car couldn't get back to him.
Justin, P15.
Yeah, I was a victim in your mess on lap one, and the sad thing was, is if I remember right, I had 2 minutes required, 3 minutes optional, and I had that all fixed by lap 40. But yeah, I just kind of tried to stay alive, and I got lucky and missed Rex, and yeah, I got a 15th. So that was about it.
Okay, and then Tyler, P5, 16 cautions for 78 laps, full survival mode, rocking a 12X all the way, all from getting hit from behind. Raced the track the best I could, and it finally paid off. The second fastest lap of the race. Shout out to my son Parker for spotting me and helping me in checkups towards the end. Couldn't have done it without him. Brad, P24.
Yeah, just a disaster. So was in. I mean, again, David and I were spent quite a bit of the time together last night. Started P9, drove up into the top five, got as high as P2. Ended up with a restart. Just got way too aggressive. Spun over the bumps in turn one. Got the car fixed. Played some pit strategy. Was back up in the top five. And like David said, we kind of started with the cycle of yellows. Me and a few other guys ended up pitting. I think it was maybe 30 to go. Really thought more cars would come. Yeah, whatever. Put your hands down.
It was 50 to go.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Again, it got worse as the night went on. So again, that wasn't the case. Managed to drive back up the top to a P9. We ended up with the green white checkered, and it was all crap broke loose at that point. You know, I'm a P9 coming out of four, and somebody gets turned right up into the wall, and there's nothing I can do. I just end up drilling him, and by the time it's over, I'm P24. So just super, super, super frustrating night. Just very, very frustrating.
Definitely
Wow,
another
you had a
example
top
of how
10
hard.
going.
Yeah, definitely another example of how hard it is to pass there because 100 lap tires were holding off.
Yeah.
Way newer tires.
Yeah. As soon as me and one other guy, he's the points leader in Division Two, Drew Blaze. I'll say it. Him and I pitted, and I looked behind us, and I was like, "Oh crap!" I knew we were in trouble. And then again, you get back with the squirrels, and squirrels are going to do what squirrels do, and you end up wrecked.
All right. Bobby Jonas won the pole. Fast whole race. Got dumped running fourth with 5 to go. Chris Waldron, P20, not my place. Wrecked it, fixed. No, wrecked, fixed it. Wrecked, fixed it. Wrecked, fixed it. On to next week. Thursday Open, I got a P16 through the middle part of the race. I was running about 9th or 10th. Through the middle part of the race, but that last run, I kind of used my stuff up and faded back to 16th. David, P14.
Yeah, I ran good in this race, especially for top split. I wanted a top 10, but we had a 60 lap run at the end, and in this case, I got to racing hard on the outside, and wiggled just a little, and I think that just was enough. I didn't have any damage according to crew chief, but on that run, I just destroyed my right front and was like 10% lower than Justin was at the end, and couldn't hold him off, and lost about 4 spots just from getting too tight and wearing the tires out in that 60 lap run.
All right, and then Justin, P12.
Justin just had to step out.
Oh, we lost him. Yeah, he was in the same split. Yeah, and he beat you. Moving on, IndyCar iRacing Series, Road America. I screwed up qualifying, started in the back, started 21st, got to 9th by the end of lap one. Hovered around that spot for most of the race, ended up finishing P7. The leader actually got disqualified. The winner of the race got disqualified for not taking alternate tires.
So, how many guys went off course for you to go from 21st to 9th in the first lap?
Quite a bit. And look, you'll see a trend with me. I'm always getting a lot of spots on the first lap on these races because I'm just good. But no, it's part of it as I'm good, but they suck too. and like you said, they're driving off, they're piling up. But you got to miss them. You can't run into them.
Not denying that. I'm just kind of curious because that's the
Do I
way
get
most
to
of your
comment on this one, Mike?
road course races go.
Do I get to comment on
Let's
road
move on
course
to the rest
etiquette?
of them. FIA F4 regional qualifiers screwed up qualifying, started 20th out of 22, got to 14th by the end of lap 1, and kept moving forward, got as high as 5th. My own mistakes from trying too hard cost me a couple of spots, and I finished P6. Great run. Then the second race, pole position. Oh man, I was nervous going into this. Justin was with me watching. I don't know if he was watching, but he was in TeamSpeak, and I'm thinking, this is a legit chance to win a race. I haven't won an official race this year, and so I go into turn 1, lap 1. The guy in P2 wrecked me out. He just ran over my left rear corner, and I had a meatball. So it was a bad race. Third attempt last night was running around 6 at the end of the first lap, and some guy who can't race side by side ran me off the track. Had a little damage, but stayed in the race. Worked my way up from there. I was around 16th and finished P7. Moving to A Open, Brad, P9.
Yeah, so ran Tuesday night just trying to get a feel for the car before NIS last night. So started 16th, finished P9, screwed up qualifying, spun on lap 1. Like we talked about, just it's a rather frustrating place, frustrating track. It's hard to pass. Spent quite a bit of time with two guys just running side by side in front of you. You just know where to go. Once things started to get spread out, was able to drive up to the top 10, end up making contact into turn 1 with a guy, got off of him, let him save the car. And as I'm getting back past him, he just freaking doored me. I'm sure it was on purpose, but whatever. Was able to get everything fixed, resorted towards the back, ended up driving back up to the top 5 before we had another yellow, threw some tires on it. We ended up with a 94, put 94 laps on the tires. So just ran the tires off the thing. Guys ended up pitting, and I think got passed by two guys that pitted, and I think they were probably like P12 or so when they started pitting. But at the end of the night, I probably finished where I was going to finish. Just I can't think of the last time I ran 94 green flag laps on a set of tires.
All right. We have another IndyCar iRacing series. Kyle Pendergraft got a P9, started P10, and just ran a very consistent race. Kept in the top 10 all race long and just ran a very impressive race. Car felt solid and never gave me any handling issues. Stayed on the lead lap until lap 50, and my fuel strategy was different than the leaders. A solid top 10 night. I also ran some hosted this week. Chris McGuire, first it was trucks at Daytona, wrecked out. Ran the Gen 5 at Talladega, wrecked out, and then back to the truck at Daytona, wrecked out again. Sometimes it goes like that in those hosted races.
I see a pattern.
All right, and let's jump to final thoughts. David Hall.
Buy merch.
All right, you're sporting the nice muscle shirt with the iRacers Lounge podcast. I actually have the T-shirt on and the hat. So yeah, and the hat is a quality hat. Brad, you have the hat on too. Guys, get your merch. All right, Brad Wren, final thought.
Excited for 6 hours at Glen. Justin and I are teaming up for that. So looking forward to that, even though I'm gonna have to deal with some rain, I'm sure. But on vacation next week, my wife and I are going to repaint the basement. So this has kind of turned into the man cave. I've got the 55-inch TV on the wall and all my stuff down here, but we're going to kind of redo it, paint it. Got some ideas, some stuff I'm going to do on the corner where the rig is at, to kind of get a little more racing vibe to the corner. So excited for that. It's going to be a busy week and try to move the rig, paint, and still keep it straight so that I can run the races I need to run this week. But hopefully everything will go well, and we'll be back together by the end of next week. So should be fun.
Does that go with all
Is
the
it
new
just-
stuff you bought?
Stop it! She's listening.
So you just move it to the middle of the room, so you don't have to take it apart, or?
Yeah, she actually asked me. She goes, how long's the power cable? Because if we had to drag it all the way out, and I know you got a race on Wednesday." I was like, "Yeah." I said, "I probably got about 6 or 7 feet, so I'll be good."
Just get a
What
heavy
about,
duty
like,
outdoor extension cord.
Yeah, no, I'm good. So I hate painting, but I'm excited to get it straight, and I got all kinds of ideas of what I want to do on the walls. So
What about like something underneath the rig, like a carpet or a pedestal or something?
I've got a carpet underneath it, so it makes it pretty easy to move. I didn't do casters just because I wanted to put it on carpet. It's on feet, so it's already raised up about 3 or 4 inches. Because I'm old and to have to sit all the way down on the floor would suck. But no, should be a fun week.
All right, and Greg Heckfish, you walk back in. What's your final thought?
I'm not. From what it sounds like, I'm not looking forward to Iowa racing tomorrow night from your guys' stories, but I am looking forward to. I did find. I don't know if I talked about this last week, but I did purchase my sim coach pedals. My inverted pedals are coming at some point here in the next little bit, and I also purchased the advanced sim racing inverted kit for my rig. It came a day and a half later, which was kind of right on par for them. They're really quick at shipping that out. Just waiting for. I've been in contact with Lawrence at Sim Coaches about them building it, building the pedals. They're still in the process of it, so I'm still probably got another week or so. But I look forward to it, and can't wait to see what I got myself into.
Yeah, it's going to be something to see you on those better pedals. Like, are you immediately going to pick up time, you think?
I am going to. What I decided I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a couple cars that I'm used to driving. I'm going to run a couple videos and do a couple test laps and stuff like that beforehand on the old setup. And then once I get comfortable with the new stuff, I'm going to reshoot another video for it and kind of put comparisons together for it.
That's a good idea, just to see what the differences are on as far as the times. Well, very cool. I mean, you can't do better in sim coaches except for maybe the SemiCube active pedals, which are kind of out of reach financially. So, well done, Greg.
Thank you.
My final thoughts. Yeah, I need a new computer. There's no question. Look, I had bad frame rate before I got the new monitors, so I just lived with it, and now it's just a little more obvious than it was before, I guess, and so it's time. Spent a bunch of money on hotels and rental car for a trip coming up in July, but after that, it is time. So don't know how I'm going to work it, if I'm going to get the 4080 Super or am I going to somehow wait for the new 5000 cards. That's to be determined. One more thing about NVIDIA is I had to decide on, I had some money I needed to put into a retirement account, like an IRA. Am I going to buy a mutual fund? What am I going to do with it? And I had to make a decision. And I took a portion of that money and I actually tried to do something aggressive and I bought NVIDIA stock. I actually bought a stock called NVIDIA. I bought it when it was $938, and then it went to, I think, $1,230 before they did a thing where they split it because the price is so high in the stock. They basically do a 10-to-1 split, and so now I have 10 times as amount of stock as I had before. But I've actually made enough money to cover a video card in the month and a half since I bought the stock. So this was like 6 weeks ago. And in 6 weeks, I've made $1,200. And so I have enough money to actually, by investing in NVIDIA, to take the profit. If I sell, I could take the profit from that and buy me a NVIDIA graphics card. So what a strategy. All right, with that, we'll see you on the track later. All right,